Tonight, key recommendations and reminders in the Auditor General's latest report to the Niue Assembly. Shipping company Matson releases new rates to start next month. And the government has yet to make a decision on Starlink units being used on the island. Whakaalofalahi atu, I'm Esther Pavihi, and welcome to our weekly bulletin of BCN News, and a special welcome and whakalofa atu to our viewers from across the Pacific, thanks to our partners, Pacifica TV. Leading the bulletin tonight, the Prime Minister officially opened the Niue National Energy Summit on Monday this week at the scenic Matawai Resort. The summit was hosted by the Ministry of Infrastructure in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP's Samoa office. The summit brought together government leaders, including members of parliament, village council representatives, private sector representatives, development partners, and community stakeholders to shape a shared vision for Niue's energy future and chart priorities for the country's next energy roadmap to 2035. Here's the story.
This summit is for all of you participants an opportunity of designing a new energy plan to carry us through to 2035 and beyond. Important questions will be asked of you all. Are we meeting our national energy goals? Are we reducing emissions and building a system that's strong enough to handle future challenges? What needs to change so that all of us, household, businesses, and government benefits? The answer won't come from one person or one agency. The answer coming from all of us working together across the government sectors, the technical teams, the community groups, the private sector, and especially our young people, who I called tomorrow's people.
On day one of the summit, the New Zealand High Commissioner Mark Gebb and Australia's Deputy High Commissioner Hannah Kent-Spark joined Minister of Infrastructure Crosley Tatui and Acting Minister of Natural Resources Longopasi Seumanu on the first panel discussion. The summit was also an opportunity for an update from the government's Department of Utilities, with a presentation from the Director Clinton Chapman.
The new Phase 2 project, 20.5 million with New Zealand funding, thank you very much. We're looking at installing a PV solar farm, which is about 10 acres in size. I know some colleagues here want to talk about megawatt P specifications. But the 10 acres of solar farm is quite a huge area for solar farms. It includes also 8.24 megawatts of battery energy storage to smooth out the input into the grid.
UNDP says that the summit and the training workshops reflect Niue's commitment to achieving its target of 80% renewable-based electricity generation by 2025 and contributing to its nationally determined contribution, or NDCs, under the Paris Agreement.
Niue, energy is not only about electricity. It is about safeguarding lives and livelihoods in face of cyclones and rising seas. It is about reducing dependence of imported fuel, stabilizing national budgets, and reinvesting savings into health, education, and community well-being. The recently endorsed National Determined Contribution and its efforts to develop the next energy roadmap to 2035 demonstrates Niue's determination to be at the front foot of climate action. Transitioning toward 80% renewable energy generation is not just a technical goal, it is a statement of stewardship. And most importantly, we must remember that this transition is not only about deploying new technology. It is also about drawing on Niue's proud heritage and of resilience and community, and ensuring that progress respects and strengthens that makes this nation unique.
The Minister of Finance, Crosley Tatui, says that the government has yet to make a final decision on allowing Starlink units to operate in Niue. In an interview with BCN News last week, Minister Tatui said that the government is awaiting a report from the regulator and Niue Telecom with recommendations on Starlink. Meanwhile, the government-owned internet service provider Telecom Niue says that whichever decision the government makes, it is important to note that the money Telecom Niue makes stays in Niue, and whatever is paid to Starlink, that money has no benefit or contribution to Niue's economy. The minister, who is also the single shareholder of government-owned Telecom Niue, says that Starlink units operating in Niue will have an impact on Telecom Niue.
Telecom Niue is heavily conscious of that fact, that if we allow Starlink into our market, it will affect impact on their revenue collection. On the other hand, I need certainty from Telecom Niue that they can guarantee 100% coverage of 4G internet on the island. I don't think they have been able to provide me that information, but overall, I think it's a good thing because other neighboring countries in the region have already been engaged with Starlink. It depends on the manner we harmonize the packages of Starlink and what we have from Telecom Niue.
Meanwhile, sources from Telecom Niue says that whatever the decision of the government will be, it must be noted that money paid to Telecom Niue services stays in Niue through their in-country operations and expansion, the salaries to their staff, and the government through an annual dividend. Whatever money is paid to Starlink, that money is of no benefit to Niue because that money does not stay in Niue. Minister Tatui says that the government is aware of approximately 50 Starlink units in use on the island right now. The Auditor General John Ryan's report to the Niue Assembly highlighted some recurring issues and challenges for the Niue government in terms of its capability and capacity to prepare its financial statements for annual audits. The Minister of Finance, Crosley Tatui, also commented on these recurring issues. In this extended analysis of the Auditor General's report, BCN News reports on some of its key recommendations, as well as several prior outstanding findings and recommendations for the government to address. The Auditor General, John Ryan, clearly supports the continuing engagement of Deloitte to assist the government and state-owned enterprises with the compilation of financial statements. The report noted the reasons for the delays in previous years' audits is due to the lack of capability and capacity of the finance functions and supporting systems of the Treasury and the state-owned enterprises. Minister of Finance Crosley Tatui said that the government will retain the services of Deloitte for the time being.
I must say, given the 5-6 years outstanding and previous audit reports, it's quite disappointing to see that there are repeating issues over and over again, which is not good for a country, for a government, for the public service as a whole. And going forward, we hope that the audit of the accounts for the financial year ended yesterday, 30th June, we are able to see some improvements. If not, yes, something must be terribly wrong somewhere.
Given the government's increasing in size and complexity of its entities, the Auditor General highlighted the need for improvement in capability and capacity to prepare financial statements for auditing. The Auditor General again expressed his concerns that the government is missing out on revenue due to outstanding tax payments. He also highlighted that in the audit they found not all import duties and port charges are being collected. It was highlighted that many of Niue's registered companies and, where applicable, public sector entities are not completing tax returns for company tax or the Niue consumption tax. Another concern raised by the Auditor General is that the government continues to breach Articles 56 and 59 of the Constitution and Section 19 of the Public Revenues Act of 1959 by incurring unauthorized expenditure. The report highlighted several prior outstanding audit findings to remind the government what still needs to be addressed from previous audits. The auditor noted that the government had developed an asset management plan, but further progress is required. This will help the government in assessing the need for maintenance and funding for infrastructure projects. The Auditor General says that this is an area where they will continue to review developments in. It noted also that the government had appointed an asset and infrastructure management advisor. Despite this recommendation from the Auditor General, BCN News understands that the contract of the Asset and Infrastructure Advisor was terminated last month. The Auditor General also reminded the government of the recommendation from previous audits to seek advice regarding the risks and responsibilities related to the outsourcing of the shipping registry responsibilities. There is very little public information about Niue's shipping registry, but BCN News understands that a company in Singapore is managing Niue's shipping registry. The Auditor General reminded the government of the outstanding prior recommendation for an interest register to keep track of related party transactions and disclose those that are material. This is a register of public servants who, in addition to their government jobs, are also providing services to the government through a business or other arrangement. The government noted this, saying that the terms of the register will need to reflect the circumstances of Niue's small population, including family relationships. The Auditor General also noted that the government has implemented a prior recommendation for a fraud policy and that this policy will be reviewed in the next audit. The report of the Auditor General for the year ended 30th June 2024 is currently with the Niue Assembly's Public Accounts Committee. Shipping company Matson has released the new shipping costs applied to cargo loaded at all originating ports. The new rates were released earlier this week on the 8th of July. Starting on the voyage 151 of Moa, with an estimated time of arrival to the island on the 7th of August, the new charges will come into effect. Matson said that these cost changes are put into effect in order to maintain the highest quality services possible and to help offset significantly higher and rising costs of providing shipping service to and from Niue. And this is the first price change since 2013 for Niue. The new rates will be subject to currency exchange or currency adjustment factor and fuel cost changes or the bunker adjustment factor. For a 20-foot dry container, that will cost the importer $7,105. A cement container will cost $4,425. A 20-foot vehicle container will cost $6,638. The most expensive is a reefer or freezer container, which will cost $8,564. Break bulk general cargo will start from around $445. According to Matson's customer notice, the bunker costs and fuel costs will continue to be closely monitored. A quarterly adjustment will be announced after the quarter ends and will be effective 2 months after the end of quarter. Tomorrow, July 11th, is World Population Day. This year, the theme of the day is empowering young people to create families they want in a fair and hopeful world. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, as of the 1st of July this year, the total world population is over 8,129,077,000 people. World Population Day is an opportunity to create awareness on the increasing global population and the impacts on countries, various sectors of society, and the environment. 3 countries make up more than a third of the world's total population: India with over 1,419,000,000 people, China with over 1,407,000,000 people, and the USA, 342 million people. Niue's population at the last census in 2022 is 1,564 local residents. While many large countries are struggling with the challenges of overpopulation, small islands like Niue are struggling with the challenges of a very low population, a challenge that the government is constantly facing when it comes to its workforce demands and the increasing signs of mental fatigue in a small workforce, where people are carrying multiple roles with very little time to rest or for recreation. Yesterday, Fijians around the world tuned in to watch the installation of the chiefly title Tui Na Iau Tui Lau Sauni Vanua Kolau on Ratu Tevita Ului Lakemba Mara, the son of Fiji's first Prime Minister and former President, the late Ratu Sir Kaimisese Mara. The historic event is a significant day for the people of Lau, and more so for Fijians from the island of Lakemba, including former Niue High School principal Jenny Taumba.
Significant, especially for us, all of us who are from Lakemba, from Lau, because for a long time we haven't had a leader. This is since Ratu Mara passed away in 2004. So although we live away from Fiji, from the island, from the village where we were born and brought up in, it is always a part of our life. And although I've lived abroad since 1979, I cannot say that I have totally detached myself from the place where I was born. Always been a part of me. And I've always returned every other year to be with my parents when they were alive. And now they have passed. I have not gone back as often as I used to. But the occasion now is very, very important to all of us. And I think that a lot of people from across the world have made an effort to go back for this occasion.
Jenny said that most of her family went back to the island to help out and to be part of this auspicious occasion. She wasn't able to travel because of her health. Jenny, who moved to Niue in 1979, said that she cannot speak for most Fijians, but she can say that for the Lauans in Niue, they very much wanted to be back in Lakemba, taking part and being there for this historic occasion. Here in Niue, Fijians with ancestral links to Lau wore white yesterday in solidarity with their families back home as they watched the traditional ceremony that was last seen 56 years ago. The installation of Tui Na Iau Tui Lau Sauni Vanua Kolau was broadcast live on TV Niue thanks to our partners Pacifica TV and Fiji Broadcasting Corporation. Just over 10 years ago, the Pacific Bluefin tuna stocks were at crisis level with only 2% of the unfished population remaining. The Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commissions took bold action with science-based management and cooperation from its members that turned that around. Last week, the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission released new statistics revealing spawning stock biomass is at now 23.2%. Overfishing is no longer occurring, according to the Commission. The chairperson of the board of the Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission is Dr. Josie Tamate, and she says that she's very pleased the management measures to rebuild the Pacific bluefin tuna are working and that we need to maintain these efforts going forward. The Commission said that the first rebuilding target was met 7 years earlier, and the second target is achieved 13 years ahead of schedule. Overfishing is no longer occurring, according to the Commission's statement on social media last week. In a statement to BCN News, Dr. Josie Tamate acknowledged the hard work of the chairperson and the Northern Committee members in a joint working group for Pacific bluefin tuna. Their hard work to rebuild the stock has paid off, she says. From the 21st to the 24th of this month, Niue will host the 24th Forum Fisheries Council meeting and the 6th Regional Fisheries Ministerial meeting. On the agenda are a number of topics, including the review of the fisheries roadmap, the independent refresh and performance review of the regional organisation Forum Fisheries Agency, and Niue's proposal of ocean literacy. Several members from the Department of Transport last week received their certificates from the Minister of Infrastructure, Honourable Crosley Tatui. The head of the Heavy Plant Division, Rees Tatui, the Assistant Head, Marcus Puletama, and Mechanical Officer, Desmond Tongia Kona. They received certificates to acknowledge the successful completion of specialist training in crane operation and other technical competencies. The Director of Transport, Morgan Maungavalu, says the department remains committed to keeping staff up to date with national and international standards for operational and management excellence. And we end tonight with some highlights from yesterday's annual Niue High School cultural performances. The school's multi-purpose hall was filled to capacity as parents, families and friends gathered at Paliasi to support the four houses of Pua, Langakali, Kiato and Moea. Well done to Niue High School. Some very bright and beautiful performances there and great singing from the students of Niue High School. And that's the end of our bulletin for tonight. Do join us again on Tuesday next week for our bulletin in Wangahau. But from all of us here at BCN News, good evening. Nono fo'a.